Who's reporting that? Adam Schefter is reporting. We have breaking news. The 49ers have done it again. Cliff Kingsbury's fired. Cliff Kingsbury has been fired. The 49ers have ended another coach's tenure. Wow. Wow, he just got an extension? He got blown out. It goes to show you anything can happen. Like, I was arguing with somebody yesterday, and I'm like, look, I like Justin Fields. I would stick with Justin Fields. But they have the number 1 overall pick. Who's to say they don't move off Justin Fields and take one of these other quarterbacks? Like, at this point, the NFL moves so fast, so rapid. Like, hey, Joe, Trey Lance and Justin Fields would be traded within 2 or 3 years. I'd be like, yeah, probably. Right?
First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Second of all, great job, Joe. Holding it down in an emergency situation. You stepped up and you sounded great today,
Solo
kid.
radio.
Solo dolo.
I shed a tear every time I hear it. But anyway, this was posed to me last night. What do you think? If you're the Bears, you're now controlling the offseason. Uh-huh. You have got $100 million in cap space and the number 1 overall draft pick.
And Will Anderson staring you in the face.
You're in control.
I know.
So,
and nobody really wants the DN of the other teams up there.
There's a massive standoff going on that has been wildly under-discussed.
What's that?
Lamar Jackson. So if you are the Chicago Bears, would you call the Ravens right now and say Justin Fields and the number 1 overall pick and maybe whatever...
I like where you're going.
Some linebacker or whatever.
Yeah. Ken Hamilton from Notre Dame, who they drafted last year.
For Lamar Jackson.
I think that's a great, and that'd be perfect for them. Wow.
They can absorb, they can sign him.
Great
they
call.
Can sign him to whatever contract he wants right away.
Chase Claypool?
And still go probably try to trade for DeAndre Hopkins or whatever they need to do. They need a number 1 receiver. I mean, the classic question is...
That's a great call.
It's the context of a quarterback. Does a team make a quarterback? Does a quarterback make a team? Lamar is a proven commodity, but if you jammed him in with no offensive line and no receivers on the Bears, what would he look like? I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but if you want to go... I know we get excited about Justin Fields and the way he can run. If you want to go deep into the analytics of quarterback play... interception rate, sack rate.
Turning your back to the offense.
Justin Fields is 1, 2, or 3 in all the categories you don't want to be number 1, 2, or 3 in if you're a quarterback. So I know he can run, but I'm far from convinced that you can win football games with him.
Well, you got to give the guy a consistent system, and you got to give him
playmakers,
a structure.
Yeah.
And, we always talked about Alex
player.
Smith and 6 coordinators in 6 years. And, you see developing quarterbacks, which is what he is. Justin Fields is a guy who needs structure and he needs help. So based on what they decide to do from a coaching standpoint will also determine what you do with your quarterback. And if I'm John Harbaugh and I don't want to keep Lamar Jackson because of what he is as a more mobile than more of a passing quarterback, I don't know why I would want to try to repurpose Justin Fields in that same way, especially when you're Baltimore and you're the best drafting team in the National Football League. So
lot cheaper.
You've done so well. But yeah, you're getting a quarterback who's not any good.
Well, I don't know that he's not any good. What I do know is the Bears there were 2 Justin Fields this year. We saw him week 1, and I was in the hot dog line with everybody at halftime. They wanted him fired. They're like, this guy can't play. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the year, I think it was that Monday night game in New England.
Yes.
He crushed it, and they scored a bunch of points. And it was like, okay, look at that. Your guy, Dibs, Eberflus, he's suddenly decided, we're going to let Justin cook. We're going to let this guy run. Here's the problem. You went from one end of the spectrum to the other. You tried to make him a pocket guy. He can't do it. Now he's running around like a crazy person, and we all know how that ends in the NFL. He's going to get killed. So you got to do somewhere in between. But I have no idea who he is in that situation because, as we just said, no offensive line, no receiving core. Like, he literally has nothing around him.
If there's one thing that this year NFL continues to just solidify in my head, it's that whatever happened last year, whatever happened 6 weeks ago is almost irrelevant. Things move so quick. Aaron Rodgers, if I said to any NFL fan, he's not going to play for the Packers anymore, we all kind of believe it, even with the dead cap number being what it is. If I would have said Russell Wilson comes back and he's awesome next year, I probably would believe it. I'm just saying, like, things are so improbable. I mean, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy is like running the NFC, apparently.
Yeah, the poster child for you don't really know. And that's why I think a lot of it is structure and system. And this is not to discount Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm glad you keep saying that because This system, though, is built around a quarterback who is competent. If you're a competent quarterback, you can thrive. And by the way, look at the pieces that he has around him.
CMC.
If Jimmy G had these pieces, the way this offense is humming, the interior three on the O-line, we all talked about it in July and August. Oh, this offensive line, they're going to be terrible. And turns out they're great, those interior three.
Jimmy did have these pieces for 5 games, and he won them all.
And he looked great.
He won them all.
Right.
Now, he didn't do this.
No.
Like, this is a super simple stat. However, to me, it tells the entire
Points
story.
per game?
Dude, they've scored over 30 points 5 of his 6 games, and the one that they didn't was a short Thursday night divisional road game where he had no arm. He was hurt. Remember, they had to throw at the hotel. They had to throw at the hotel. Their plan was to take him out in the third quarter when it started hurting too much. Prior to Brock Purdy, they played 11 games. They scored north of 33 times.
I know.
And one of them was when they got a pick 6 against the Rams to get to 31. There is something, it doesn't need to denigrate Jimmy.
They scored touchdowns.
This offense is now dynamic. It's humming. And I don't care who you want to give the credit to. When you find that mix, you stick with it.
Yeah.
You stick with it because, man, it's hard to find in the NFL.
Totally agree. Seeing Cliff Kingsbury get fired right now, he just got an extension. You know what I mean? Like, I look at the NFC West, like, heading into this year, okay, they got the Super Bowl champs, the Rams, and Stafford and McVay, oh my God. Like, I feared them, rightfully, they're the Super Bowl champs. Arizona, I don't know, but I still fear them a little. Seattle, they're dormant. They're facing Seattle in the playoffs this week. The Rams feel like they're done. And then Arizona looks like next year's a lost year no matter who comes in. Things happen so quick.
He was signed through 2027. And they actually fired him a week late. I told Mark about 3 months ago, I put the over-under on games that Kingsbury would coach against the Niners.
Yeah.
I said over-under 1.5 games, meaning would he be fired before week 18? I thought he would have been fired prior to this last game, which they probably should have fired him a month ago. But signed through 2027. If you do the bottom 5 organizations in all of pro sports,
they're there.
They might be number 1. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yep. And now we have to remember what led us to this conversation, though, which is that, man, it changes quickly when you don't see it coming. So maybe that'll happen again next year.
Exactly.
However,
Harbaugh takes over.
Look at the NFC West, and you're like, so now Arizona's got to reboot all the way up to probably the GM level.
Yes.
Kyler Murray's not healthy at the start of the year. I don't know and he wasn't playing well.
What do you do?
Yeah, he wasn't. Well, you just signed a big extension. So
no, but I'm saying, like, do you go after Jimmy for 10 games? Like, what? Like, they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, they're in a very tough spot.
You tank it next year for Wembayama if you're Arizona.
There you go. Get a little Wembayama.
Thank you, Detroit. Thank you, Detroit.
Yeah, and if you're the Rams, it feels like at least the potential's there for a really long, slow rebuild. If the coach leaves, I don't know about Aaron Donald. I don't know about Matt Stafford.
The coach is leaving.
Can we stop on this for a second? I'm looking at him. He's a front runner to me. He's a great coach, right? And all those things. He's also a front runner. Like, when I heard Florio on Sunday Night Football say the reason why he wants to leave, it's not because of raising family and this. The reason he wants to leave is because he doesn't want to go through a multi-year rebuild.
Of course.
You're the guy that did it.
And they devastated that organization with no picks and bad contracts.
He is leaving before the cops come. He's leaving the party before the cops come. It's exactly, coincidentally, the coach the 49ers will be facing this weekend. It's exactly what Pete Carroll did at USC.
Good call.
He bailed out right before the cops arrived.
It's Reggie's fault.
He built this whole
You're
cheating.
So right.
He built all this cheating, and then he's like, oh, you caught us?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Going to Seattle, and I'm going to go up here and win games, and everyone's going to put me in the Hall of Fame while I chew gum. Like, it's just... Sean McVay, here's a prediction. People will use the word retire, which is stupid because the idea that he's retiring is ridiculous. He is going to go to Amazon or something for $50 million a year, and he'll hang out and do the Sean Payton thing and the John Gruden thing, and he'll hang out until he becomes the biggest name because he's young enough to come back 7 years from now, and he will not have what's about to happen with the Rams on his record.
He'll have the Lombardi in his hand, though.
No doubt.
Because that you can never take away.
You can't take it away.
He made $14.5 million this year, and the reports are Amazon offered him 20 per 5 for 100. So you go from 14.5 and the stress of having to go out and win and game plan. And you devastated your own roster. And now you get to just sit up there, look pretty, do curls, and make more money.
Well, and like I look at Jared Goff last night, I was pulling for Jared Goff just to stick it, because Stafford got all the, even in the commercial, where he's like basically dogging out Detroit. Like, I felt so bad for Detroit and Jared Goff. They're America's team, are they not? Detroit Lions this morning.
Right now, anybody who's playing Aaron Rodgers in a situation like that is America's team.
Oh, God, inject that into my veins. But I was pulling for Goff so bad last night.
Absolutely, and they now become maybe the only other team outside of Chicago in the top 10 in the draft, because they have the Rams pick. That feels like they've got their quarterback situation solidified. That's why the Houston thing yesterday was so wild. Because for them, like, I did this, like, go down the top 10 of the draft and stop yourself when you get to a team outside, like Chicago is number one. Forget them. Now go down and stop yourself when you get to someone that knows who their quarterback is next year.
Even Seattle, who had Geno break a record this year.
And he's a free agent.
If you told me they took a quarterback, I'd be like, makes sense.
Of course it makes sense. And Detroit is the only one. And
Detroit
even them,
at 6, you're right.
Even them, you're in the back of your mind, you're like,
I don't know.
Oh, for sure he's their quarterback.
Goff?
He's a top 5 QB this year, statistically.
I agree with you, but they're the only one outside. And the Eagles,
Chicago,
I think, are at number 10.
Houston, absolutely not.
Definitely not.
Arizona, you got an ACL. Indianapolis, where's Andrew Luck? Seattle, you think it's Geno, but I mean, can you do
agent.
Exactly? Detroit's got Goff. The Raiders, the autumn wind is a Stidham.
Yep.
I mean, Atlanta at 8.
Atlanta.
Ring around the
Carolina at 9.
Absolutely.
Get me Jake Delhomme. Then Philadelphia at 10.
Knows who they have at 10.
And then Tennessee at 11 even is a bit of a question mark.
Bit of a question mark.
And then Houston again at 12. Come on, Houston.
They're like, we're taking,
buying stock in the Texans.
They're taking 2 quarterbacks, and they'll play them both.
And then the Jets at 13.
Do you remember Mike Nolan doing that? Mike Nolan said that when they took Alex Smith, number 1 overall, they were going to trade back into the first round and go get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, you're really sold on your number 1 overall pick if you're going to trade back into the first round and take another quarterback.
By the way, Patriots at 14. I don't know if McCorkle is the guy. God, it was so fun watching him get lit up.
Oh, man.
You're right. And then the Packers at 15.
You know what he is?
They may need a quarterback.
Who knows? Yeah.
Dibs, he's the Grayson Allen of the NFL.
I've heard you say that about 7 times, and I keep meaning to steal it. But now that you've said it so many times, I can't steal it.
Is it good?
It's too good. It's very good.
Just like that sense of like frat boy dirty too, where like Grayson Allen just straight tripping people. Mac Jones, like, I threw a pick, so I'm going after your knees.
Yeah, Mac Jones. Whatever we all saw at Alabama is not true. He went to Duke. He just like look at him. Mac Jones, Grayson Allen, Cherokee Parks, Christian Leitner. They're all the same dude.
Wojnarowski?
Just a little bit different. Absolutely.
What was the guy who slammed the floor?
Yeah.
All those guys.
Mac Jones played lacrosse at Duke. You'll never convince me otherwise.
Okay, one last thing before I get out of here, because I'm exhausted today. JJ Watt.
Early? Come on.
Now you're going all the way to 925. Let's go.
You haven't
better
talked
than
enough?
that.
You're Joe Shasky. You can do it.
JJ Watt.
Just put your into it.
He's still got something left. We all agree, right?
Why is he retiring?
That's what I'm saying. So if I'm the Niners, what Eddie D would have done.
Well, and he wants to spend time with his family. I think he actually does want to spend time with his family.
But wouldn't you put in a call if you're John Lynch and the Niners? Hey, here's the deal. You come in like Roger Clemens or Andy Pettit late in the training camp situation. You don't got to practice on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Just be a situational player for us and win a ring. That's the Eddie D way. Like, I always think about guys at the end of their career. Yeah. Michael Carter comes back, and then you have Richard Dent come in here, Ricky Jackson, all those guys. He's got to be a Niner next year. Like, I would put the call into him.
I don't hate the idea, but I'm not like jonesing like it appears you are.
He could still play.
But they got a ton of pass rushers who can play.
And the ethos of this team is not a guy coming in, Cadillacing it and taking days off. This defense is a lunch pail, hard hat group. I don't think that would really work in terms of having a guy come in and Cadillac it, come in August and no practice. Yeah, he had quite a good game in his return. No points.
How about when he tweeted? He also puts out in like, my body was sore, but I'm feeling good. It's like, Iggy, can you play multiple?
Just take a month off.
Can you hit a layup before
take a powder?
Iguodala. Yeah, God, I don't want to talk about the worst today.
Yeah. No, there's time enough for that.
To circle back though on the divisional thing we were talking about, because it changes
so
quick.
Fast.
It does, but if you go right now by how it feels and how it looks, so the Rams probable lengthy rebuild
feels like it.
Cardinals dumpster fire rebuild at all levels. Yeah. Kyler hurt. And then the Seahawks,
I thought were a rebuild,
who are clearly better than we thought, but have no clue what they're doing at quarterback going forward. Plus, even if they do stick with the better than we thought formula, it doesn't come close to threatening the 49ers as we've seen.
No.
And then the 49ers. Here's the beauty of the Brock Purdy situation in the bigger scene. There's the small scene, which is, oh my gosh, they might go win the next 3 or 4 games.
Movie.
Right? But the bigger scene is you now have cost-effective options to go with what is clearly the best roster in the NFC when you cover the rest of it. Things happen quick. There are big injuries. I don't know how much longer Trent Williams is Trent Williams, all of that stuff. But in theory, this is set up for a whole lot of fun for the next handful of years for the 49ers.
And it gives them the financial flexibility that they absolutely need to have to be able to spend, obviously, on Nick Bosa and stuff. But like McGlinchey, up in the air, right? He's going to be a free agent. Who knows if they want to keep him, if they don't. When you have the quarterback making as little as they're making, and then the running back position, if you look at McCaffrey, I don't know if he's going to stay on that contract or if they have to rework that. So having a quarterback not make a lot of money.
Yeah, maybe you don't now. Like I sort of assumed they were going to have to. And now maybe they don't?
I don't know. Who knows what ends up happening? It gives them a little bit of financial flexibility. I also think cornerback is going to be a position of need, whether through the draft, through free agency, whatever. No one's talked about it. They nailed the Charvarius Ward acquisition.
Yeah, they sure did. One of the great underrated free agent acquisitions. And I heard him on the broadcast, Chris Myers and Robert Smith.
Sleepy Chris?
Friend of the program. Chris Myers, friend of the show, quite frankly. And we were able to firm up exactly when he was born, but they were talking about one of the most underrated free agent signings of this offseason.
No doubt.
Not a lot of people outside this market, I think, pay enough attention to that.
Well, acquisitions being the key word. You know, I mean, the 49ers were, if you go back to last offseason, there were a lot of acquisitions that people wanted them to make that they didn't. And it felt like, oh, gosh, are you being a little bit too kind of shy in this whole thing? They end up spending big on Charvarius Ward. It's massive. And then they give their capital that they still have for Christian McCaffrey. That is a 1-2 punch that has made this season. Like, where are the 49ers without those two guys?
Not here.
Not here.
And like the thing on like, they gave up a second, a third, and a fourth.
So what?
They gave up, the second is basically a third rounder because they're going to finish with, it's probably going to be the 58th or later. That's what the pick's going to be, 58 or later. And then you look at the other, like everything gets moved back. It's basically a third rounder.
They're 10-0 since
he's amazing.
10-0 since he started.
He's incredible. And in terms of Trent Williams, you've got him signed through 2026, but you're out is in 2024. So next year he makes 19.4, and at the end of next year, if it's not looking like he's still going to be the same player, there's an out, and at that point, you can go out and get the left tackle of the future, because I think McGlinchey, if you decide to keep him, and I think they will, he's a right tackle.
Yes.
I don't think that he projects out to be a left tackle, but you have another year of Trent, and he, by the way, is still, I think this year he wasn't as good as last year, but he's still one of the best left tackles in football.
And then the two guards are making nothing, and the center's making nothing.
Exactly.
So you've got all this suppressed salary. I go back to this, though, guys. Deebo Samuel had a down year.
Fine.
No one's saying a word.
That's what we were talking about in the green room.
Well,
one's saying a word.
Not just down year. Here's the thought we were talking about next door.
He didn't have a signature game.
This guy went out for 4 games, and at no point did you notice?
Not at once. Which is wild.
You watch those games, and at no point were you like, oh, they missed Debo. The thought never even entered your mind. and which game was it that he went down?
Right before Seattle.
Before Seattle.
Yeah, before Seattle. Because they didn't have him for Seattle.
So there was that. You know, they had 4 days to reboot the offense and an injured Brock Purdy. And then after that, 30 burgers. Nothing but 30 burgers the rest of the way.
Quick little breaking news. Steve Keim, the GM, is also stepping down. Kyle, is that what you said?
Stepping down.
He hasn't been with the program
mutually parting ways.
A long time.
Thanks, dude. Here's the deal, Steve. Do you want us to say we're firing you, or do you want us to say that you're stepping down? Here's your choice. Check which box. We're going to fire Cliff Kingsbury. You've got a half hour to make your decision before we break that news.
So you fire Kingsbury, and he gets paid, though, because those contracts...
Unless somebody else picks him up, no?
Are there offsets for coaches?
Usually
head coaches?
there are. I don't know, but usually that's why Tom Sula sat away for so long.
Nobody's picking him.
Well, he'll go back to college if he wants.
Yeah.
And I've already seen people on the YouTube feed. Hey, Cal would love to have him.
Oh, come on.
And that's
Sonny Dykes online too.
That's he had quite a bounce back himself.
I do want 49er fans to get ready for the raid. That's coming on their entire
staff. Yeah,
D'Amico already said no to the Texans. Apparently,
it's not only
the Broncos want to interview him.
No, I know, but I'm saying like the Texans because he was a Texans player. They showed him and J.J. Watt when they were rookies. That was kind of cool.
Real talk. If I was African American, I'd take the Texans off of my speed dial. You can't even call me.
It's ridiculous.
That organization from top to bottom now hiring and firing 2 black coaches in consecutive years, firing them after 1 year plus. Who they were as an organization prior to that. Remember the Kaepernick's, that was the organization. He's now passed away. But
and then the Deshaun stuff
the inmates running the asylum crap comment. The Houston Texans are like, go away.
They need a rebrand.
I would never, ever work for them.
Do you know the only other team? Do you know the only other team to have consecutive one-and-done coaches consecutively? The 49ers, with Chip Kelly and Tom Sula, and before that, the 49ers in 1977, 78, 79.
Wow.
Yeah. They had 3 one-and-dones.
The reason I bring it up, don't forget the name Adam Peters, vacant GM job in Tennessee. Apparently, Adam Peters on a very, very short list.
Interesting.
For the general manager in Tennessee.
You know, I don't know if he'd want to leave. To me, it feels like John Lynch getting kicked up to a president, czar of football, and then Adam Peters kind of becoming that dude.
Maybe.
That feels inevitable.
I just think the 49ers it's not just success, because there's a handful of teams having success, but they have had a successful year in a way that makes the staff look incredible.
It's next man up.
When you do this with 3 different quarterbacks, when you have a young, exciting defensive coordinator and then the best defense in the game, like they have this amazing roster, but everyone's going to look at them from the outside and go, my God, your staff is just, you've done a fantastic job.
And the defense is great on all 3 levels, too. Yep. So you look at Chris Kasarik and the D-line, they're elite.
Yeah.
You have a couple of the best linebackers in football, and the secondary better than many people thought. How about if you're Tashawn Gibson, you're just sitting back there waiting for the ball to find you? I mean, with that pass rush and a couple of ducks, the one he got thrown exactly
He was like a fair catch.
Joe. Oh, my God.
He was like 3 flies up in my backyard.
The easiest 2-pick day in NFL history.
You remember how much hand-wringing there was over the Jimmy Ward, I don't want to play cornerback. He had, I don't know what the advanced PFF numbers are. He had the most interceptions of his career at slot corner. And then Gibson had an incredible year in terms of interceptions at safety. I think they know what they're doing.
They do, although I still feel funny about the Jimmy Ward situation. I don't know if you heard him after the game yesterday. And he's talked like that all year. And for those of you who did not hear, Jimmy is he's speaking about his 49er tenure in past tense. Now, he did acknowledge at the end of the conversation, look, it's been 9 years, and I don't know that it won't continue. So I think it's just a veteran with real talk. I'm sure there are some hard feelings there to a degree, because it's not so much that the move didn't work, but it messes with Jimmy's money.
Yes.
He's a free agent, and they moved him to a lesser paid position.
Yes.
So I'm sure that was very, very difficult for him, even though it's worked out and they did what's best for the team. But there's just, damn it, with what that guy's been through and how many times Niner fans wanted him gone, and the Niners brass stuck with him, and they were right. I hate seeing Jimmy Ward after each game kind of talk about this year as if it's his last in San Francisco.
I agree with that.
It's tough.
But the other part of me says, I like Womack. I know he's young, but they brought him in. Like, he was a ball hawk in preseason.
No, it's probably time.
It's a young man's position, too. Slot corner is tough to play.
Well, the weird thing is if the 49ers do want to keep Jimmy Ward, this move, which does lessen his market, might have helped him stay.
Yeah, it makes him more affordable.
I don't know what he's going to get offered on the open market. I don't know. He's a hell of a player, though.
In terms
of a football player.
When you look at, like, 49er seasons, like the fun ones that come out of nowhere always come to the top. Like, Jim Harbaugh's first year always goes to the top for people. I had more fun watching this team because of the style of play. I don't know where I rank it right now, but it's one of the funnest teams that I've seen for the 49ers ever.
It's super fun in many ways. One, to see a defense this nasty.
Yep.
And you've got Nick Bosa, who should be Defensive Player of the Year.
He's your guy?
I think so. I mean, forget the stats. When you watch the way he impacts a game And I encourage everyone to watch a game, and when they're on defense, just watch Nick Bosa. He beats you with quickness. He beats you with straight power. He beats you with moves. You don't even have to run games with him in order for him to get pressures. I like just watching him come off the line, engage the tackle, and basically lift the tackle up like I carry my 4-month-old baby and just gently move that person wherever he wants to move him. So to me, he's DPOY, and you watch this offense with, Brock Purdy. I heard Kyle earlier with you talking about Mr. Irrelevant, how that person who was drafted there had never thrown a pass.
That's crazy.
Let alone completed a pass, let alone gone 5 straight games with 5 straight victories. This offense is a fun watch, too.
I'll just say, by the way, it's not just you, obviously, that thinks he's DPOY. They took it off the board in Vegas.
Really?
Because they called it, quote, insurmountable odds. So you are no longer
I've never heard of that.
You cannot bet on DPOY because it's done.
Wow.
It's Nick Bosa, period, and he's going to get all the votes, and anybody who doesn't vote for him is just trying to get invited on radio stations the next day. Period. That's your guy. That's your guy.
We just made a T-shirt. You can go to 957thegameshop.com. DPOY in 49ers saloon font, but instead of a Y, it's Bosa going like this.
Well, it's a silhouette of a human being doing that.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Copyright infringement being what it is.
It's a silhouette of a human being that appears to look something like a man whose name rhymes with Rick Bosa.
Yeah.
So that's who it is.
And he's doing the Iguodala, as we like to call it. Palms up.
Right.
It's the palms up.
But the ref did not make the shirt.
Exactly.
The ref that's being yelled at did not make the shirt.
Before I get out of here, because I know you guys want me to stay the whole length.
I want you to stay the whole 3 hours.
To go?
Draymond Green, you called it. He says it in the podcast when he just released his podcast, because of the obligations, because of contractual things. And people are like, it's the Volumes contract. It's this, because that's the company that it's under. Didn't it feel like he didn't release the podcast because the team put sanctions on him, or am I misreading that?
No, I don't think you're misreading it. I don't think that there were clear-cut sanctions, but there was probably something behind the scenes. When he punches Jordan Poole, the video gets released, and there were meetings, backroom meetings, as far as what the punishment would be. And I don't know if it was a negotiation sensation, but it seems curious to me that once the new year hit, out comes the pod, right?
Well, and I'll say this: I'm with you. I doubt the Warriors came in with with a Sharpie and said, "You're not doing this," because, as we all know, that's not how you deal with Draymond Green and get what you want.
You don't tell him anything.
And I think was it Anthony Slater? Someone I heard bring this up to you guys last week. I think that when that opening game and they changed that commercial, who was that Draymond was working with, to do that the story of what happened.
The TNT thing.
Thank you. The TNT thing.
It was so weird.
It didn't land.
No.
And even Draymond, who sometimes lacks a little self-awareness, I think even Draymond and whoever he's working with, the Volume, the Warriors, everybody,
TNT,
they looked at that and went, take a break. Just take a little break.
Yeah.
Let's just shelve it. Few months.
New media.
We'll be back. Go win some basketball games. Get yourself right.
Get some distance from the incident.
Yes.
I think you're absolutely right. So, but boy, so good to have the pod back.
Thank pod, it's back.
It's a 4. It's a solid 4.
Gosh, thank pod.
My God. I knew we reached a critical point in podcasts when I was hearing a Chelsea and Hillary Clinton ad on one of my other podcasts. I said, we've reached the inflection point.
Wait, they have an ad for what? Just for
their own
their own podcast.
Oh, yes. I was like, for themselves, for their humanity?
Yeah.
No, back to your comment, though, about how fun the 49ers are to watch this year.
Yeah, sorry, I got stuck in Draymond
it's all good.
pod talk.
Teams are more fun. Sports is more fun when you don't see it coming. Like, when you look at the Warriors this last year winning that championship.
The Giants 107 wins. I think is a great example.
When you don't see it coming, that is greater than when you do see it coming. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll still take the wins when Kevin Durant's on the team and they're going to win it. That's still great.
Who are you?
But, and I think we had high hopes, at least, for the 49ers this year, but you were turning things over to Trey Lance. There was all this unknown. For it to end up this way, for it to be 13-4, and now expectations at minimum of January 29th. For me, that's the baseline.
Really?
You got to get to January 29th, or this is now disappointing.
They lose a game next week, hypothetically, to the Vikings in a shootout.
No good.
Really?
The Vikings. The Vikings stink.
The Vikings.
Justin Jefferson's ridiculous.
Yeah, they got a good. Everybody's got a good player.
That's like the one thing that I'm scared of is a passing attack like theirs because of the elite personnel they have.
Right. I think it's not a major disappointment. It's not fire Kyle right now.
No, it's not
disappointing.
disappointing. It's
exactly.
Totally disappointing.
It's going to be a home game. You're favored by 10 against Seattle. Let's say Minnesota wins and Minnesota comes to town. You're probably favored by 6.5.
7 and a hook. Yep.
Yeah, man.
That much.
It's going to be darn near a touchdown.
Wow.
This offense is a 30-burger.
It was 7 and a hook for Green Bay, by the way. I saw the look ahead line during the game.
You mean the look ahead.
Look. Right. 7.5 for Green Bay, 10 for Seattle. It's Monday morning.
Did you guys want Green Bay? Like, because
No.
I do too.
I wanted him out.
Yes.
I wanted him at the podium,
I'm so sick of him.
lamenting about my future. This time it may be over. Ayahuasca.
Me and Cobb, let's hold hands. Since when was Randall Cobb?
Don't let the frozen tundra hit you in the butt on the way out of town.
You did hear the jersey exchange thing, right?
I did.
You heard the jersey exchange.
No, I'm going to hang on to this one.
Well, one of the Lions players came up to him.
Jamison Williams, the rookie from Alabama.
Came up to him, and God, is the internet undefeated or what?
It's the best.
If I were a celebrity, good God, I'd never open my mouth. The microphones and phones catch everything. Yeah. Jamison Williams comes up, says, "Can I get the jersey?" And Aaron just gives him a wink and goes, "I'm going to hang on to this one."
Yeah.
Why?
And has the ball.
Why, Aaron?
Man.
Why this one?
And then him and Randall Cobb were like spooning and walking off like they had just been wed, right? I was like, what? Since when is Randall Cobb some like legendary Packer player?
By the way, I don't necessarily read that as Aaron retiring.
It was Randall Cobb?
No. It could very well be Aaron's that can be his last game as a Packer.
Right. No, that's what I interpreted it too. Yeah, he's going to stay.
Oh, no, he's not going to retire until he gets a 6-month off season of where will I go?
Exactly.
Who wants me?
He's turned into Brett. He's turned into Brett in that fashion.
A lot of teams will. Go ahead and read the draft board again. And
you're right.
You get to 15 teams and only 2 of them have their quarterback solidified.
But he's not going anywhere. He just wants to be wanted for a full off season.
I don't know. If you're Green Bay, couldn't you? I think you could pretty easily sell yourself on, you know what? It's time to move on.
Oh, no, for sure.
Like the Packers feel to me like the Seahawks felt last year.
Right.
Good call on that.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all done.
We get it.
Yeah,
we don't have a great other option, but this is done here.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Love showed promise.
I don't think that he's mad at that, and I think Aaron Rodgers will spend the whole offseason of, ooh, look at me, I'm vacationing in Houston.
2 locations. Tua, Miami replacement, Jets, clearly need a quarterback. Those are the 2 teams. I think he goes to the AFC East.
Well,
there you go.
More on 95.7 The Game.
Jimmy, Tom, the offseason.
All right, guys, have a good one. I'll be listening.
Great stuff, Joe.